Watching the India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Rescue efforts continue in Taiwan. 9 people killed and over 900 injured in 7.3 earthquake struck island's eastern coast. Mortal remains of foreign aid workers killed in Israeli strike transported to Egypt for repatriation. UN suspends aid movements at night in Gaza. US says it wants swift Israeli investigation into attack on aid workers. White House says President Biden outraged and heartbroken to speak with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Campaigning underway in full swing for India's general elections. India's Prime Minister Modi to hold public rallies in Bihar and West Bengal. An update now on Israel-Hamas conflict. The United Nations has suspended movements at night in Gaza for at least 48 hours to evaluate security issues following the killing of staff working for the World Central Kitchen food charity. The suspension started on Tuesday. The World Food Programme is continuing operations during the day.
We've suspended our nighttime movements within the Gaza Strip for at least 48 hours to allow for further evaluation of the security issues that impact our personnel on the ground and, of course, the civilian population we are efforting to help. And this follows the killing of the World Central Kitchen staff on Monday. That's, of course, for nighttime movements. During the day, our colleagues of the World Food Programme tell us that operations are continuing, including daily efforts to send convoys to the north.
The United States says it wants to see a swift Israeli investigation into an attack that killed 7 aid workers of World Central Kitchen in Gaza. The State Department spokesperson told media that Israel needs to put in place better deconfliction and coordination measures to protect humanitarian workers and civilians on the ground.
The Israelis have said to us, and they've said publicly, that they intend to conduct this investigation swiftly. We want to see it wrapped up as soon as possible and see them put in place any measures to prevent this from happening again in the future. And that's go to the second point that we think we need to see. Not just, they don't have to wait for the outcome of this investigation to do it. They need to put in place better deconfliction and better coordination measures to protect humanitarian workers and to protect all the civilians on the ground.
And the White House said President Biden was outraged and heartbroken for the death of 7 aid workers by an Israeli airstrike in Gaza. Biden on Tuesday called the charity aid group's founder to share his condolences. Biden told WCK founder Jose Andres that he will make clear to Israel that aid workers must be protected.
He's outraged and he's heartbroken. We are all heartbroken here by those 7 lives lost. And so we are going to continue to mourn with them, with Chef Jose Andres and obviously the families.
Well, in an emotional interview to Reuters news agency, celebrity chef Jose Andres said that an Israeli attack that killed 7 of his food aid workers in Gaza had targeted them systematically, car by car.
The team was coming from dropping in a warehouse we had south of Gaza in Doordarshan. All the food they were able to download before it got too dark. We were in an area that is kind of a secure area, what they call a deconflicting area, and was 2 armored cars plus one soft shell. And the teams were, as far as we know, already coming back from the warehouse in a way. They were targeted systematically, car by car.
Speaking via video, Andres said that the IDF was aware of the convoy's whereabouts. He called for investigations of the incident by the U.S. government and by the home country of every aid worker who was killed.
this happened over more than 1.5, 1.8 kilometers. So this was not just a bad luck situation where, oops, we dropped the bomb in the wrong place, or no, this was over 1.5, 1.8 kilometers with a very defined humanitarian convoy that had signs in the top, in the roof, a very colorful logo that we are obviously very proud of, but that's very clear who we are and what we do.
Well, the World Central Kitchen founder condemned the war as a whole.
Humanitarians and civilians should never be paying the consequences of war. This is a basic principle of humanity. At the time, this looks like it's not a war against terrorism anymore. Seems this is a war against humanity itself.
And the mortal remains of 8 workers who were killed by an Israeli airstrike in Gaza arrived in Egypt on Wednesday. An ambulance convoy carrying the mortal remains crossed Rafah border after departing Gaza early on Wednesday. The bodies of the foreign aid workers were handed over to UN officials at the Egyptian border for transporting home. The strike late on Monday night hit a convoy of 3 vehicles and killed 7 staff of the 8-group World Central Kitchen, including citizens of Australia, Britain and Poland, a dual citizen of the United States and Canada, as well as a Palestinian colleague who was buried at his home. Israel said it mistakenly killed the aid workers and promised a full investigation. And a sea convoy of undelivered food for Gaza returned to Cyprus on Wednesday after the killing of 8 workers of World Central Kitchen in an Israeli airstrike on Monday evening. A cargo ship carrying 240 tons of food initially destined for the people of Gaza sailed back to Larkana in Cyprus following the deadly attack, dropping anchor just outside the port. A second ship, the Open Arms, owned by a Spanish NGO working with WCK, arrived earlier. The undelivered aid was part of a consignment of about 340 tons sent to Gaza from Cyprus on March 30th. The 8 workers killed in Gaza had just finished work unloading 100 tons from a barge also sent from Cyprus. WCK, active in Gaza since October, has paused operations in the territory after the killings and turned around its flotilla of ships back to Cyprus. And moving on, emergency reinforcement works are being carried out after a 7.3 magnitude earthquake hit China's Taiwan region on Wednesday morning. The quake severely tilted many high-rise buildings. A 10-story structure that housed a mix of homes and shops was tilted over and appeared to be on the verge of collapse. The fire department reported a 5-centimeter increase in the building displacement, indicating the risk of collapse due to constant aftershocks. The fire department also dispatched tower cranes, excavators and trucks to position large rocks to support the structure and prevent its full collapse. Many residents managed to flee when shockwaves hit, with rescuers working to free people trapped inside. As per the local emergency operations center, the quake had left 9 people dead and more than 900 people have been injured so far. And some buildings tilted at precarious angles in the mountainous, sparsely populated country of Hualien near the epicenter of the quake. The quake also triggered massive landslides. 50 workers traveling in minibuses to a hotel in a national park were missing. The earthquake hit at a depth of 15.5 kilometers as people were headed for work and school. Many residents who dared not to stay at home overnight were accepted at temporary shelters. The fire authorities said they had already evacuated around 70 people trapped in tunnels near Hualien city. And meanwhile, Taiwan has started the demolition of hazardous buildings in Hualien, which were badly damaged by the quake. Excavators were seen tearing down buildings which have been marked for demolition in the Hualien County. Mayor Hasuk Chenwei said the demolition of the 4 tilted buildings would take at least 2 days, with residents and business evacuated. She added rescuers continued their search.
目前为止呢，这个康熙女老师应该是快要被送。希望最快在2。
We hope to complete the demolition in 2 days' time. There are 4 buildings in total. The buildings are tilted and they are at security risk. After discussing with the residents and turning off the water pipes and security, we started the demolition.
Well, the powerful earthquake was also captured by the cameras in a newsroom during the live broadcast. The anchors on air kept us speaking and delivering news while the studio was visibly shaking and lights swaying violently overhead.
其实在台湾发生的有感地震，明显感受到摇晃，因为在刚刚的7:50，
上方都有一些器材呢正在往下掉。地震速报已经告诉我们了，在7:58左右呢发生的有感地震，这是非常不只是3级左右，大家不要紧张，这样的地震感受的确是比较明显的，包括摄影棚都已经有灯架开始在倒下来了，因为摇晃。
And India correspondent Patrick Falk joins us from Taiwan. Well, Patrick, after the major earthquake yesterday, there was a tsunami warning also. How is the situation right now? How is the relief work going?
Well, one of those demolition jobs you were talking about just a moment ago is taking place right here behind me. This is a 37-year-old commercial building that, as you can see, was badly affected by the quake. It's been on a heavy tilt since the quake struck yesterday, and now workers are busy trying to bring it down. And as far as I understand, what they're doing is they're building up a rubble in front of the building so they can then lay it forward gently, as it were. It does look as though it could be coming down any moment now because they're boarding up the area around it to protect the people that are watching the situation right now. But you know, what's remarkable here in Hualien is that this is actually the exception, and there are very few peoples that have fared as badly as this. Most of the other buildings around are still standing, they are still intact. So there are some questions being asked about the integrity, the structural integrity of buildings that have been badly damaged, and questions being raised about whether or not anyone is to blame. But as we know, buildings in Taiwan is prone to earthquakes, so buildings are built to withstand these sorts of disasters, and they were really put to the test yesterday.
All right. Also, Patrick, there were massive landslides reported. 50 workers traveling in the minibus were reported missing. Any news about them?
Yeah, there's a bit of mixed news on the rescue efforts. I can tell you that the roughly 70 people that were trapped under collapsed buildings have nearly all been rescued. Reports say there was one woman who tragically died while trying to retrieve her cat. And of course, yesterday we already spoke about the several dozen people that were rescued from a tunnel after getting trapped there in northern Hualien County. But yes, there are still people that are unaccounted for. As you mentioned, those 50 hotel workers that are still missing, trapped in a convoy of buses on their way to work yesterday. There's also several dozen miners that we understand are still trapped in a rock quarry. So we're waiting to get more updates on that situation for now. But otherwise, you know, things are getting back to normal here in Hualien. People are getting about their daily business. There is still concern, of course, about the aftershocks. That's partly why this demolition is taking place. And so people are on guard, if you like, for the situation to deteriorate suddenly. And there's also military personnel on hand to provide support as necessary.
All right. Also, Patrick, there were tsunami warnings nearby. What about them now?
Yeah, well, the tsunami warnings were taken down pretty soon after the initial quake struck yesterday. But, you know, as I say, this situation is incredibly uncertain. There have been more than 200 aftershocks, according to some experts, some of them measuring greater than magnitude 6 on the Richter scale. And authorities have said that the further shocks that are expected over the course of the next 3 or 4 days could be nearly as big as that initial quake that hit yesterday. And as we've said before many times, this is the largest earthquake that Taiwan has experienced in at least 25 years. And, you know, speaking to people here, they have been emotionally and physically shaken by it. Most people have never seen anything like this before. They've described a sort of violent shaking that took place yesterday, and they're all hoping that there won't be any sort of repeat of what they saw.
We're all hoping the same, Patrick. Thank you so much for that update from there. And still to come on DD India News Hour. NATO marks 75th anniversary of the signing of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Thousands flee from Haiti amid searching violence. And streets turn into rivers after tornadoes roar through US Midwest.
How did the People's Republic of China capture Tibet back in the day? And is it time to consider a social media ban for kids? Watch Connecting the Dots to get the full picture every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
The largest state of India, Rajasthan, goes to polls in two phases. The battle royale for 25 Lok Sabha seats. What are the issues on the ground and who will create a storm? Join us on DD India on the Great Indian Elections, Thursday at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT, only on DD India. The largest state of India, Rajasthan, goes to polls in two phases. The battle royale for 25 Lok Sabha seats. What are the issues on the ground and who will create a storm? Join us on DD India on the Great Indian Elections, Thursday at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Khurana, and moving on, NATO foreign ministers will meet on Thursday to celebrate the 75th anniversary of their alliance, having agreed to start planning for a greater role in coordinating military aid to Ukraine. On Thursday, the ministers will also meet with Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba. On the second day of a meeting in Brussels, the ministers will mark the signing of the Washington Treaty on April 4th, 1949 of the North Atlantic Treaty that established the transatlantic political and military alliance. NATO began with 12 members from North America and Europe. At its heart is the concept of collective defense. 75 years later, NATO has 32 members and has retaken a central role in world affairs. On Wednesday, NATO ministers agreed to start planning for a greater NATO role in coordinating security assistance and training for Ukraine. Also, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken hailed a bigger, stronger, more united NATO in Brussels on Wednesday as part of an event with the alliance's foreign ministers. Blinken also thanked Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg for his work towards strengthening NATO.
The fact that the alliance has not only weathered this crisis, but emerged bigger, stronger, more united than ever is in no small part because of Ambassador Smith's leadership. None of us could have hoped for a greater champion for this alliance than Jens Stoltenberg. No one could have done a better job holding us together when others were trying to divide us. No one could have done a better job really carrying the alliance forward.
And Finland's president on Wednesday signed a 10-year security deal with Ukraine in Kyiv, where President Volodymyr Zelensky said he believed Russia planned to mobilize 300,000 new troops for its war by June. The pact signed by President Alexander Stubb and Zelensky made Finland the 8th NATO member this year to commit to long-term security cooperation and defense backing for Kyiv as it battles to hold back Russian forces. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the Ukrainian president's assertion about a new Russian mobilization was untrue. And later, in his nightly video address, Zelensky said he had discussed plans and tactics with Ukraine's top military commander, Alexander Syrsky, including defending out positions. Ukraine's pressure on Russian positions and key plans for defensive and offensive actions in the near future. He added that Ukraine clearly understands what Russia is preparing for.
What they want and what they will be drafting soldiers into their army for. And we, all of us, our partners, must have a strong response to Russian operations, any Russian operations. We must win this war.
Well, 3 rescue workers were killed in Russian drone attack on Ukraine's second-largest city, Kharkiv, early on Thursday. Kharkiv regional governor said the rescue workers were killed after they had arrived at the scene of the attack and a new strike occurred. He said a total of 4 strikes had hit the city and the top floors of one apartment building had been damaged. Kharkiv mayor said 1 strike had triggered a fire. Part of another building had collapsed. Well, tens of thousands of people have fled the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, in past weeks in a desperate bid to escape a surge in the gang violence. That's according to the United Nations, which says the scale of human rights abuse taking place is unprecedented in modern Haitian history. DD India's Benji Har has been following the developments.
50,000 Haitians escaped the country's main city in a matter of weeks during March amid a deadly conflict between powerful armed gangs. Killings, kidnappings and sexual violence have forced residents to rural areas, which the United Nations, here in the US, warns are not equipped to deal with such a huge influx of people. These are areas still recovering from a devastating earthquake just a few years ago. Now, some have sought to cross into the Dominican Republic, but the government there has bolstered border security and deported tens of thousands of displaced civilians back across to Haiti. The poverty-stricken Caribbean state has been in the throes of an internal crisis, teetering on the collapse and a potential civil war as gangs took over swathes of the nation. The Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, resigned last month from the US territory of Puerto Rico to Haiti's east, on the same day that the United States announced an additional $100 million to finance the deployment of a multinational force to assist Haitian police. On Monday, Haiti's de facto government issued a statement saying its leaders were working toward a peaceful transition of power as fast as possible. Benji Haya in Washington, reporting for DD India.
And severe weather wreaked havoc across the Midwest of the United States, with a succession of tornadoes wreaking damage on infrastructure, residences and communal areas. As the intense storm hit the eastward, states such as Ohio, Pennsylvania and Indiana. The weather authorities have cautioned the storms to persist. Regions in eastern Virginia and upper North Carolina could face severe thunderstorms as an unstable weather front gradually extends southeastward. And rural communities in south and central Mexico battle the flames as dozens of wildfire ravaged, boosted by a nationwide drought. Fires ravaged the central state of Mexico, doused that originated in a cornfield. Other wildfires raged on remote mountain ranges and virgin jungles and forests. According to Mexico's Forest National Commission, there were 71 active fires on Tuesday. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The Syrian Ministry of Defense conduct a ceremony to honor the 7 Iranians killed in an airstrike on the Iranian embassy in Damascus. Iran's ambassador in Syria, Hossein Akbari, was among those who attended the ceremony. Wired-up coffee plants help farmers counter climate change. An Utain Gule coffee farm, researchers are monitoring 20 Arabica coffee plants that are wired up across the plantation. Each plant is attached to electrodes that monitor the heat and warmth of the atmosphere. Using this technology will provide researchers the continuous update on their health and hydration. Multiple Apple services, including the App Store, Apple TV Plus and Apple Music, were down on Wednesday for users in the United States. Approx 6,400 users reported issues at the peak of the outage. Over 1,000 user reports for both Apple TV Plus and Apple Music. Thousands of people took to the streets in Turkey's southeastern city of Van to celebrate an election board decision restoring pro-Kurdish mayor-elect Abdullah Zeydan to his post. Zeydan from the DEM party was elected on Sunday's local elections, prompting people to once again pour into the streets in bigger crowds than in the morning to celebrate. And still to come on DD India News Hour. President of India Draupadi Murmu will launch the anti-cancer CAR T-cell therapy and will dedicate it to the nation in IIT Bombay. Today is the last day for filing nominations for constituencies in Phase 2 of general elections. And Mumbai Customs seizes over 2.52 kg of gold valued at rupees 1.46 crores.
The largest state of India, Rajasthan, goes to polls in 2 phases. The battle royale for 25 Lok Sabha seats. What are the issues on the ground and who will create a storm? Join us on DD India on the Great Indian Elections, Thursday at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT, only on DD India.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Rescue efforts continue in Taiwan. 9 people killed and over 900 injured in 7.3 earthquake struck island's eastern coast. mortal remains of foreign aid workers killed in Israeli strike transported to Egypt for repatriation. UN suspends aid movements at night in Gaza. US says it wants swift Israeli investigation into attack on aid workers. White House says President Biden outraged and heartbroken to speak with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. And campaigning underway in full swing for India's general elections. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold public rallies in Bihar and West Bengal. And now let's get to you the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Well, as the date draws closer for India's parliamentary elections, leaders of all political parties have intensified the campaign for polls. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address two public meetings in Indian states of Bihar and West Bengal. Prime Minister will address his first rally at Jamui in Bihar today. This would be his first rally in Bihar since the announcement of dates of elections. Chirag Paswan-led Lok Jan Shakti Party Ram Vilas has retained the Jamui seat in a seat-sharing agreement with BJP in National Democratic Alliance. Paswan has fielded Arun Bharati from the constituency, earlier represented by him twice in 2014 and 2019. Later in the afternoon, Prime Minister will head to Indian state of West Bengal. Prime Minister will address a rally at Cooch Behar constituency. BJP has renominated Nishchit Pramanik, who is also Union Minister of State for Home Affairs, as its candidate from Cooch Behar constituency. Well, West Bengal's Cooch Behar constituency is gearing up for a fiery election campaign today. Besides Prime Minister, West Bengal Chief Minister and TMC Chief Mamata Banerjee will also hold a rally in Cooch Behar today. Mamata Banerjee will hold a public meeting in Mata Bhanga's Gumani Hut for TMC candidate Jagadish Barma Basunia. The Cooch Behar will go to polls in the first phase of parliamentary elections. Meanwhile, in Maharashtra, the Congress has expelled its senior leader Sanjay Nirupam for 6 years for his anti-party statements. Early on Wednesday, the party had removed him from the list of star campaigners for the Lok Sabha elections. The development came after Sanjay Nirupam made a string of remarks against Congress India ally Shiv Sena, Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray, and its leader Uddhav Thackeray after it announced some candidates for parliamentary constituencies in Maharashtra. However, Nirupam has said he would announce his next course of action on Thursday. Also, Congress on Wednesday announced a new list of candidates for Indian state of Uttar Pradesh for upcoming parliamentary elections. Congress nominated Mukesh Dhangar from the Mathura parliamentary seat in Uttar Pradesh. He'll be facing sitting BJP MP Hema Malini. The party replaced Nakul Dubey with Rakesh Rathore as the party's candidate from the Sitapur Lok Sabha constituency. And senior BJP leader and Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh addressed a public meeting at Doordarshan, Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. In his speech, a senior BJP leader listed out government's achievements and initiatives for development in Union Territory. Dr. Jitendra Singh said that even the Congress stronghold saw development only after 2014. Dr. Jitendra Singh is BJP's candidate from Udhampur Kathua parliamentary constituency. Well, the notification for the second phase of the Lok Sabha election will conclude today. Elections will be held in 88 parliamentary constituencies, seats in 12 states and union territories, along with the remaining part of the outer Manipur constituency in this phase. States, union territories included in two phases are Assam, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tripura, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal, apart from one part parliamentary constituency in Manipur. And DD India's correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us for more on this. Well, Akshay, just 2 weeks from the elections now, how is the political atmosphere heating up?
Well, Lipakshi, you have just done some sort of a wrap as far as the political events across the country are concerned. From what we can see, the political parties are right now, in fact, in the last lap as far as the elections is concerned, and the canvassing, the campaigning has been intensified. All the star campaigners are right now on the ground. All the work that the government has done, they are trying to show to the people, whereas the opposition is trying to rake up the issues which could not be worked upon as much according to the expectation of the people. So that is what happens during every election. But one of the most important part of Indian election remains in the manifesto, because that is for the first time when the political parties during the election campaigning come with promises for the people, come with schemes for people, and that too, that is a written document that the political parties issue. So that depends a lot on what the political party, what the political party's ideology is, what their plan of action is for the next 5 years if they come to power, and that is why it becomes extremely important for people to know what is in the manifesto. However, if we talk about the manifestos of the political party, the Bharatiya Janata Party is likely to hold a second meeting on 4th of April as far as a discussion on what exactly can be said and can be promised in the political manifesto. That all depends on what the people want. In fact, what we can expect this time around, according to sources, is the fact that the poor and the farmers will be on the priority list of the government as far as, of the Bharatiya Janata Party of the poll manifesto is concerned, and that is why they also had started an initiative to take feedback from people as well on to what exactly do they want. Whereas when it comes to the Congress party, there will be they're likely to announce they are likely to announce their manifesto on 5th of April. That will be ahead of the Bharatiya Janata Party from what the timeline appears to be like. However, we are also expecting the opposition and the Congress party and the other parties to go into full throttle as soon as the manifesto is announced to initiate campaigns across the country, to initiate rallies, so that they can have an upper hand as far as the campaigning is concerned, because of the fact that they are announcing the political manifesto earlier than the Bharatiya Janata Party. It's going to be interesting to see that what exactly the political parties have to promise, because it is a very high-stake elections now taking place, whereas the Bharatiya Janata Party will try to maintain the number of seats that they have earlier won or even increase that. The Congress Party certainly will be trying to eat into some of these seats that the Bharatiya Janata Party had won the last time around. So that is why we can expect tall promises by all the political parties across the country.
All right, all eyes on the manifesto right now. Also, today is the last date for filing of nomination for the second phase. Who all are expected to file the nominations today?
Well, a range of leaders as far as the second phase of manifesto, second phase of nominations are concerned. A range of leaders are also changing, in fact, Lipakshi, because when we talk about the Bharatiya Janata Party, they have also given out a lot of leaders who are likely to contest, who may withdraw their contest. So this usually happens during every election process. It is done on many occasions, in fact, to mislead the other parties as well. So that has been part of the politics that takes place. We can only, it would be too early to, in fact, speculate who will be retaking their nominations back and who will be filing their nominations, because most of the political party leaders who had to file the nominations have already done so, because of the fact that people usually do not wait for the last day, because there can be some technical error and people can miss out on filing the nomination, given the importance of this election. That is usually a thing that is avoided by the political parties. So the leaders go into the initial days only to file their nominations so that they can start the campaigning practice earlier.
All right, thank you so much for that information, Akshay, from there. And moving on, in Indian state of Assam, campaigning for parliamentary election is in full swing. On Wednesday, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma participated in roadshow in Silchar town, Kachahar district, as part of the nomination filing process for a BJP candidate, Parimal Suklabaidia. contesting the Silchar parliamentary constituency. The Chief Minister said that Parimal Suklabaidya will win with record margin of votes. Polling for the 14 seats in Assam is scheduled to take place across 3 phases on April 19th, April 26th and the 7th of May. While Congress too has intensified its campaign in Indian state of Assam, Congress candidate Joyram Engleng filed nomination from Dipu parliamentary constituency. The Congress candidate was accompanied by Assam Pradesh Congress Committee President Bhupen Kumar Bora. BJP has fielded Amar Singh Tisso from Dipu parliamentary constituency. Congress is contesting 13 seats and left 1 seat for its ally Assam Jatiya Parishad. Assam has a total of 14 parliamentary constituencies. And India correspondent Subina Roy joins us from Dibrugarh in Assam for more. Well, Subina, can you give us an overview of the entire scenario in the state ahead of elections, as the polls will be in 3 phases in the state there?
Yes, Lipakshi, when we talk about the Northeast, out of the 25 parliamentary seats, 14 seats are in Assam. So Assam will be going for polls in 3 phases. So when we talk about the first phase of elections, the notification date was announced on 20th March. The last date of filing nominations was on 27th March, and the last date of withdrawal of nominations was on 30th March. Now, campaigning has been on full swing for these 5 constituencies, which are going on election on 19th of April. So when we talk about Assam, there are 2 major alliances which are in play in this Lok Sabha elections. The first, we have the ND alliance, where BJP will be contesting from 11 seats of Assam. The Assam Gana Parishad will be contesting from 2 seats, and the United People's Party Liberal will be contesting from 1 seat. Now, when we talk about the other alliance, the Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance, we have the National Congress, which will be contesting from 13 seats of Assam, and the Assam Jatiya Parishad, which will be contesting 1 seat. And when we talk about other parties who are contesting from Assam, there is Aam Aadmi Party, which will be contesting for 2 seats. Then we have AIUDF, which will be contesting 3 seats. Then the Trinamool will be contesting for 4 seats. Then the Bodoland People's Front will be contesting from 2 seats. The CPI will be contesting from 2 seats. The CPIM will be contesting for 1 seat. And the All Party Hill Leaders Conference will be contesting for 1 seat. Now, this is the overview picture of Assam. Now, when we talk about the first phase, 5 constituencies of Assam will be going to polls. The first is Dibrugarh. The second is Jorhat. Then third, we have Sonitpur, then Lakhimpur, and then Kaziranga.
Okay. All right. Also, Subina, can you tell us who all are the candidates contesting for the first phase there?
Yes, Lipakshi, a very good question indeed. From Dibrugarh, the first, let us talk about Dibrugarh. We have the Union Minister of Ports and Shipping, Sri Sarbananda Sonowal, who is contesting from BJP. And then we have an upcoming party, the Assam Jatiya Parishad, from where we have Lurin Jyoti Gogoi, who is contesting for the party, AGP. And from up, we have Manoj Dhanwar. Then next, we move on to Jorhat, where we have from BJP, the sitting MP, Tapan Kumar Gogoi will be contesting. From Indian National Congress, we have Gaurav Gogoi. And from CPI, we have Kanak Gogoi. Then when we talk about Lakhimpur, we have Pradhan Barua from BJP, Uday Shankar Hazarika from Congress. From Trinamool, we have Dhanakanta, and from CPI, we have Dhiren Kachari. Now, moving on to Sonitpur, we have Ranjit Datta from BJP. From Premlal Ganju from National Congress, we have Rishiraj Sharma from AAP. Then moving on to Kaziranga, which was erstwhile known as the Koliabor, we have the Kamaikha Prasad Tasha from BJP and Rosalina Tirki from the Congress.
All right. Thank you, Subina. Thanks so much for that information from there. And moving on, the dual interaction between geography and political decisions and the geographical structure of the election system are an essential part of elections in India. The vast topography and cultural diversity play a major role in planning and conduct of elections. More in this report.
India, the largest democracy in the world. Apart from sheer number of voters, there are many other factors that make the planning and conduct of elections a huge challenge. Geographical diversity, climatic conditions, socio-cultural diversity are addressed in the meticulous planning for elections by the Election Commission of India. A high grade of professionalism, continued innovation, technological integrations, and strategic interventions come into play to ensure free, fair and credible elections in a country as vast and diverse as India. Due consideration is given to the topography and the ease of travel of voters. Along with this, the security management, religious festivals, harvesting season and climatic conditions also play a key role in finalizing the dates. Also, the Commission keeps in mind the schedule of school exams as teachers are also deployed for election duties. The Election Commission of India has developed a number of tools such as vulnerability mapping deals with preventing voters from being influenced wrongfully in relation to exercise their right to vote. ECI manages the polling station, infrastructure and accessibility of voters as well. A set of rules under the assured minimum facilities take care of proper accessibility to the polling station. Braille facility in the EVMs, proper parking facilities, clean waiting sheds, etc. Force deployment plan along with outreach activities and voter awareness programs are also held to increase voter turnout to ensure smooth elections. The main aim of this mega exercise is to cater to the constitutional mandate and the premise, no voter to be left behind. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. In IPL, Kolkata Knight Riders beat Delhi Capitals by a massive 106 runs. We'll tell you more ahead.
How did the People's Republic of China capture Tibet back in the day? And is it time to consider a social media ban for kids? Watch Connecting the Dots to get the full picture every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, President of India, Draupadi Murmu, will visit Mumbai on Thursday to launch India's first homegrown gene therapy for cancer at IIT Bombay. The President will also dedicate it to the nation on the occasion. CAR-T therapies are used mainly to treat blood cancers and have burgeoned in the past few years. The Indian CAR-T therapy cost 1/10 that of comparable commercial products available globally. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. An Indian Navy P-81 arrived at Atsugi, Japan for bilateral anti-submarine warfare and subject matter expert exchange with the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. Further, the crew will plan and execute maritime reconnaissance and ASW operations along with Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. Mumbai Customs have seized over 2.52 kg of gold valued at rupees 1.46 crores. The official said that the gold was seized in 5 separate cases since March 31st. The custom official said that the gold was found concealed in clothes worn on the body of the passenger and on the underside of a baggage trolley. They added a total of rupees 10.60 crore was seized across 8 different cases in March. Fire dousing operations are still underway in Morbi's Vinayak plastic factory. Even after more than 12 hours of fire, the 2 fire engines were rushed to the incident site. The fire has spread to nearby factories and efforts are underway to control the fire. The fire broke out in the afternoon on Wednesday. And time now for some business news. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq ended slightly up on Wednesday after data showing the U.S. services industry growth slowed further in March. Most of the major S&P 500 sectors advanced, led by materials and energy. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell focused on the need for more debate and data before interest rates are cut, limited the advance. Powell said the Fed will stick to its wait-and-see approach as it considers when to start cutting rates, given the continued strength of the U.S. economy and recent higher than expected inflation data. You're watching DD India News and time now for some sports news. Moving on to IPL, Kolkata Knight Riders beat Delhi Capitals on Wednesday by a massive 106 runs in the match 16 of this season. The VDCA International Stadium was full of cheers for Sunil Narine and Ankrish Raghuvanshi hit half-centuries. Sunil Narine top scored with 85 runs as the Kolkata Knight Riders tore apart Delhi Capitals bowling like cotton candy to post 272 for 7. Delhi in response lost 4 wickets in the power play itself. From 51 for 4, Rishabh Pant took off. Pant scored 55 runs in 25 balls, remarkably hitting 4 fours and 2 sixes off a Venkatesh Iyer over the fetched Delhi 28 runs. KKR now stand at the top of the season standings with a win in all of their 3 matches so far. Meanwhile, Gujarat Titans will take on Punjab Kings in the match 17 of IPL 2024 at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad today. GT's new captain Shubman Gill has marshalled them to 2 wins in 3 games, with both the victories coming to home. Gujarat Titans have a chance to move to the top half of the IPL 2024 points table if they manage to win against Punjab on Thursday. Meanwhile, Kings had started their season with a win against Delhi Capitals at their new home in Multanpur, but suffered back-to-back losses on the road in Bengaluru on Thursday and Lucknow. And in a major news, Suryakumar Yadav has been declared fit and is likely to feature in Mumbai Indians' next IPL game against Delhi Capitals at the Wankhede Stadium on Sunday. The National Cricket Academy in Bengaluru cleared the middle-order batsman is set to return after missing more than 3 months of cricket. The availability of Yadav, who is a #1 T20 international batsman in the ICC rankings, will be a shot in the arm for Mumbai Indians. Mumbai Indians have started their IPL 2024 campaign with 3 consecutive defeats, with new skipper Hardik Pandya facing the ire of fans in every match. And former Spanish FA chief and controversial football administrator Luis Rubiales has been arrested as part of a corruption investigation on Wednesday. Rubiales, who has been facing charges in the Jenny Hermoso case, was detained in the Spanish capital Madrid after he arrived from the Dominican Republic. The police in Madrid have now 72 hours to investigate Rubiales, who came into the limelight after kissing Hermoso during the post-match ceremony after Spain's FIFA Women's World Cup final win over England in Australia in 2023. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.